These people have been, the genius of all of them together has been incredible to watch. In total, through all channels, the federal government has developed and delivered 39.4 million N95 masks, 431 million gloves, 57 million surgical masks,
Okay, people.
and 10.2 million gowns. We ordered 500 million masks.
This is the explosion coming off the sun on this side. So it's from here going up to down here. I don't know if y'all can see it. If you go to the site yourself and see it, you can. That's probably more than a quarter of the sun, because the sun is behind this, is that big. So this is covering from here to here, the explosion, not just this bright part, but if you can see all this energy going all the way out to here to here.
I think they said that there's a brief clip that we have of General Motors sent to us by General Motors.
I wanted to catch it before it was completely gone.
Wanting to play that for your benefit.
It's also extending out up here from here to here. So that's the biggest one I've witnessed. I don't know if you can see it. It's almost 3 different streams of something big. Let's see if I can enlarge that for y'all. Right here. See it down there, all the way up here, and then also over here. Oh, that's a lot of energy the sun is getting rid of right quick. And it's also over there. Seems to be before that asteroid or whatever flies by up here. This is happening before that.
That was sent to us by General Motors, and we thought it would be a good one to play. It's amazing. It's what they've done in a very, very short period of time. They're now making thousands of ventilators, and they're coming out of the factory very rapidly at a clip that nobody can even believe. But we have others also doing it.
Is it not sharing the screen again?
So we're helping a lot of people.
Okay. Darn it. Hold on, because it was working. That's crazy.
Needed them for weeks now, but we'll have them for stockpiles, and very importantly,
it's showing on my end that it's sharing the screen.
Do things like we can do, and we're going to be able to.
Can you see it now?
That are having tremendous problems, to put it mildly.
I probably need to record it and then upload it.
To accelerate the development, study, and delivery of therapies. So important, therapies.
Yeah, Trump's on in the background. He just came live.
But frankly,
I don't know why. Did it share the screen at all? Because it's showing it on my end.
So it takes a longer period.
Like there's a delay in it.
Great potential therapies already, and we'll see how they're working. We'll be able to report on that, I think, over the next week or two.
For 1 second, and it bleeped out. All right, so let me try it again.
At least 35 clinical trials of promising therapies are now.
So anyway, the explosion is all the way from here, all the way down here, all the way up here. You can see it. I'll let it run a couple of times. And then it's also on this side. It's pretty big too, but this side is huge from the area that this energy, you can see this flowing out of energy all the way across. So I'll leave it there for a minute. Maybe it'll hold it.
Mechanism that keeps the virus from multiplying, immune therapies that prevent the immune system from overreaching to the virus, and convalescent plasma treatments that use antibodies.
Yeah, it's a big one. Did you see it?
So
did it hold it long enough?
They're so happy to have recovered that the first thing
it's like the whole,
want to give our blood,
more than a quarter side of the sun.
Thousands of
because the sun's actually smaller than that red disc in front of it.
They've gotten such great care, and a lot of them didn't think they were going to make it. As the entire
well, that was a big one
to combat the global pandemic, it is absolutely essential that the key
Did it show it at all?
Federal agencies are fully staffed, and we're not.
And hey, how have you been? I'm sorry I haven't been around.
Take place through our Congress. They're just not giving it to us. We have many positions that are.
Oh, I don't know why it's not sharing it, because it's showing to me it's sharing it.
Get the approvals. The Democrats are holding us up.
Let me cut this off and then try it again.
We've gotten judges because
let me make sure this is at the top.
I guess we're up to 448
it's at the top.
Federal judges, and that we've gotten because we focus on it. We take the maximum time because no matter who the judge is, they take vast numbers of days.
I'll try again.
Leaves no time left for others. Very unfair system.
So this supposedly is the size of the sun, this white circle. This dark is just to block out the light from it so it can be seen. So this energy that's shooting out, which I'm losing it now, so I was trying to get it filmed while it was going on, because this part will be cut out soon. Anyway, it's from up here
longer than that,
all the way down here. You can see the energy flowing, and there's also this area up here where it's flowing out. Not as big as down here, but that's if the sun is this size, and you've got this going all the way out here and all the way up here and all the way over here, then that's maybe more than half of the sun.
We don't need the position, and I'm all for that.
So,
but in many cases,
I'm hoping you can see it now.
The Democrats, they won't release the positions. Include the director
You're camping.
of intelligence, 2 members of the
Federal that's nice. Is it showing? Did it show?
Secretary of Treasury,
it doesn't look like
Markets of the United States. And
I don't know. They keep updating this software. Maybe I need to reboot the whole computer before it works right. Since I did the update.
Can I have this
when I tried to start it, it told me I needed to update.
He's been telling me that for a long time, and the Democrats.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I think I'm gonna have to set it to record right now, because if not, it'll be gone.
At least they go through a long.
I wonder if I can record while I'm actually doing the show. Let me see.
And it's just a concerted effort to make life difficult.
I'm going to try to record it so I can at least capture it on here and then show it back later. Because if not, it might be gone by the time I try to catch it again live.
2 years preventing us from managing the Voice of America. Very important.
This might be too tasking.
You heard what's coming out of the Voice of
America.
It's
taking a long.
It's disgusting.
Okay. Oh, really?
The things they say are disgusting toward our country. And Michael Pack would get in. He'd do a great job. But he's been waiting now for 2 years.
Maybe later.
Can't get him approved. The Senate has left Washington.
Everything wants me to upgrade.
Until at least May 4th,
they want me to pay additional money for stuff to do
for the president to fill positions
what I need it to do.
Circumstances. The recess appointment, it's called.
Well, it doesn't say it's recording.
Of dabbling into so-called pro forma sessions where no one is even there has prevented me from
been here a week.
Constitutional authority that we're given.
I hear you, girl.
That we're given under the recess provisions. The Senate should either fulfill its duty and vote on my.
Yeah, maybe it'll show up when I don't know though. I don't know that it'll show up when I play back, because it should be showing up now.
We have a tremendous number of people that have to come into government, and now more so than ever before because of the virus and the problem. We have to do it, and we have to do whatever we have to do. It made it
very, check my settings
to run government. I don't think any administration has done anywhere near what we've done in 3.5 years. But every block, every week, they put up roadblocks. Whether it's Russia,
so I'm going to do a show later on. I just wanted to...
or whatever it may be, it's always roadblocks and a waste of time. If the House will not agree to that adjournment, I will exercise my constitutional
All right, let's see if it works now.
To adjourn both chambers of Congress. The current practice of leaving town.
Can you see it now?
Phony pro forma sessions is a dereliction of duty that the American people cannot afford.
All the way down here, all the way up here, you can see it going out. And there's also over here.
It's a scam.
Hopefully it's working now.
Knows it. And it's been that way for a long time.
Doesn't look like it, darn it.
And perhaps it's never done before.
Oh, okay, good.
Before.
Okay.
Nobody's even sure if it has, but we're going to do it. We need these people here. We need people for this crisis.
Okay,
and we don't want to play
See how big it is coming off of there?
Waiting for 2.5 years, 3 years for some of these people.
All the way here, all the way up here, that whole area is just, you can see it moving. And then it's up here too. Anyway, that's a lot of energy blowing off the sun,
to get approved.
In my opinion.
And everyone knows they're going to be approved. But there's only so many hours.
I think it will.
Judges, and you go through lengthy hearings.
Yes, I think it will definitely impact the earth.
And they could do it in one session, and they could do it in 1 hour.
It depends on where we're at and what side of the earth it hits.
In order to advance,
but yes, I think that's a big one.
And all nations, as we
that's the biggest one I've seen as far as how wide it is.
Funding
so that had to be
WHO, World Health Organization.
I don't know, pretty big. It just all the way down here is going here. So if the earth is anywhere on this side, it's not going to miss the earth. It's like it's going to hit that whole side of the earth, whichever side of the earth is facing at. The only thing we can hope is that the earth is down here somewhere right now in the path, but I don't think so. I think we're on this side.
They were angry that we did it.
I think we're always somewhere over here.
To realize what was going, but I have a feeling they knew exactly what was going.
But it's also going in this direction, but it's not as much.
They didn't do any.
But it's odd that this is, the whole thing is odd to me. But we know that we're in the times of Scripture, and we know that more things are going to unfold. You know, and I was thinking about something. I'll say this right quick. Now, I said a few weeks back when they were opening up the tent hospitals, the makeshift hospitals, in preparation for an influx of ill people, that
an even worse offense.
Those probably weren't a good idea because some storm is going to come through and blow them down. And so that's what happened. A storm went through New York and blew down one of the makeshift hospitals. And so could I go back? Because, you know, it's on my channel. I said it weeks ago. I could go back and say, oh, I predicted this. Okay. Or so I could, you know, act like I have all these psychic abilities. I get some things, you know, very, very rarely. I get something from God. So I think it's from God because it plays out so accurate. But stuff like that, is it predictive programming? You know, there'll probably be some channel that'll take that and say she's part of the government conspiracy. She predicted this, you know, and it happened. No, common sense tells me I think in advance, you know, of all the possibilities of anything. That's just how my brain works. I always have. And so I thought, well, you know, okay, makeshift tents, and we're in that time of year, you know. I mean, of course, any time of year now we can get severe straight line 210-mile-an-hour winds and whatnot. But anyway, that's just a point where people, you know, try to think whatever crazy stuff they think.
To our nation.
Oh no, I believe it is. I believe it is a virus. So I believe we got, personally, my opinion, it doesn't mean I'm right, it's just my opinion. I think that this virus is very real, and it's deadlier than they're telling us, and I'll share that with y'all later. But I think that something else is coming as well. I think that, yes, we're going to see meteors, asteroids. We're going to see, they're maybe the aliens, the fallen angels are, you know, getting close. You know, I know that there's something else. I think there's so many things getting ready to happen. I think, yes, so many people feel something. Yeah, and they should. I'm sorry, but when President Trump, the man that is against welfare and is against people not working to collect money, when he says stay home and I will pay you more to stay home than you were making at work, and then you don't even have to fill out the weekly unemployment thing, and don't pay your taxes, we're going to defer taxes, and we're going to try to get people to defer your rent, and the power company saying we will not cut off your power if you can't pay. You got cell phone companies saying they won't cut off your cell phone. And we're going to let prisoners out
Again, not all states are
you
the same.
know,
They're very different.
the
Some
nonviolent, yada, yada. And so not only is the country not collecting money because people aren't working and they are not paying taxes and they're not doing the shopping and they're deferring the taxes that people do owe, they are paying out 2 trillion plus they're getting ready to add another package to it. Hey, Suzanne, how are you? So, you know, if that in itself doesn't wake people up and say, hey, you know, there's something serious going on. This is not some little ploy. This is not no little ploy for any of the conspiracies that I think people are thinking about. This is bigger than that. The world is coming to an end. That's what I think. And they see it. And come on now, I was just listening to, between yesterday and today, on different news channels, I have never heard the news broadcasters throw God into the conversation so many times. So one of them was interviewing a farmer, right? And he said, I'm going to have to paraphrase because I forgot exactly how he said it, but he was telling the guy that God was taking care of him. That was the news broadcaster told that man that about his farm, that God was looking out for him. And so I've been hearing that a lot here from people that you never would hear them throw, you know, they might cover something about a church or some, you know, something where somebody thought a miracle had happened somewhere. They might do a human interest story like that, but never have I heard them in their interviews use God. Present crisis, and they provided valuable insights on how to move forward. Well, I'm not as, I feel you, Suzanne. I'm not suspicious of everything. What I do know is that there's something bigger than they're sharing with us. And if you don't think it's major for 210 countries and territories to shut down, it is. This isn't the U.S.'s ploy to do something. This isn't any other country's ploy to do, you know what I mean? This is big. This is big. It's something, okay, like scripture says, we will see things that have never been seen before, nor will be seen again. Well, okay, as far as the vaccine goes, if this virus is as deadly as I'm watching, not what they're telling you, but from what I'm watching, if this virus is that deadly, then you know, take the vaccine or go to some other island, or let all the people that, you know, separate the people, because if you want to risk people's lives because you're scared it's the mark, then you know what I mean, that's gonna be an ugly situation if that develops out of this. But I think this virus is real. I think it's biblical. Whether it got out by accident from some lab in China, like someone got infected themselves from handling something in the lab, and then they got home and infected somebody, and then they went out to eat and infected, you know, whether it started like that, it doesn't, right now, that's not significant. It is in trying to control it in the future, but right now, if we look at what countries are doing, because we're not the only country that's been told to stay at home and the government will pay you, right? Could this usher in the one world currency, one world order? It could. It could. It very well could. Dr. Birx to come up and say a few words, and then you know, there's and then Vice President. All I'm saying is, we know that this is bigger than
Thank you, Mr. President.
It's more deadly than they're sharing with everybody, too. If you look at the closed cases,
5 to 6 days,
out of the closed cases, and thank goodness in the United States right now, out of the closed cases, only 21% died out of the closed cases, whether they either recovered or they died. Out of those cases, it's 21% death. In other countries, Italy and Spain, they're at 40% death out of their closed cases.
And really recognize how low the United States case fatality rates are.
I hear you, Suzanne.
And this is really due not only to our...
They're not going to be able to trick God. Absolutely not.
Save lives. At the same time, I'm inspired by the American people who
This is
continue
big.
social
Like I said, there's
distancing.
probably things they're not telling us,
States
but come on
continue to
now.
decline
They're letting
because of the
prisoners
strong
out of
work of the
prison.
American people.
They're telling you, don't
But
worry
I
about
wanted to
your
let you know
taxes and
that we
stay
do
home. We'll pay
have
you to
9
stay home.
states that have less than
They're,
1,000
this
cases
is
and
this
less
is
than 30
what
new
it
cases
may
per
be
day.
is they see the
So we're
income
looking at states
and they don't want to
areas
tell
of
people that, but
individual
they're
areas
trying
and
to
talk more how each of these curves are
maybe
different.
make up for
Each
all
of
their
the cases
wrongdoing or whatever, and
experiences are
trying to make
different.
everybody as
We have some states like
comfortable as
California
possible for
and
whenever happen,
Washington
whatever's
State
going to
and
happen
Oregon
happens.
that never really had a peak because of so much work that their populations did to decrease and keep the new cases down. So each of these
Well,
individual states
I
and
feel you on that too,
metros are being
daughter.
studied very
I just
specifically.
have
But I
have
do want
mixed
to
emotions
highlight, and
about
we
that
are
because there
really
have been
concerned
vaccines that
as
saved
we've been
millions of
having
people from
discussions
dying
with Rhode Island
throughout
voters are in a
history.
unique situation.
And
First,
if
they had
man's
increasing
agenda,
cases
because
from
you know
the
some
New
of
York
these
City area,
agendas
and now
that
they have
that
new
are going
increasing
around that
cases
get
from the
talked about all
Boston
the
area
time.
that are caught
Well, they've
between
existed
two
for a very
incredible
long time,
hotspots of the
supposedly,
country.
those
They're
agendas,
doing an
okay? This is
extraordinary
from
job.
what
They're
all the
caring
conspiracy
for the
theory people say.
individuals on the
So,
front line, but
if
Providence
that being
continues
the
to have
case,
new
then why,
cases.
when man
And
was
we do
dropping dead at
continue to
40
work
years
with
old, is he
specific
now living
states
to
that
90?
have specific outbreaks related
Everybody,
to
apparently, my
individual
point is,
occurrences. I will just
majority
remind
of
the
people's
American
agenda
people
wasn't
that
to kill
this is
man,
a
it was to
highly
better man.
contagious
It was
virus.
to
Social gatherings coming
allow
together
people
is
to live
always a
longer, healthier
chance
lives.
that
And
an
we see that. We see
asymptomatic
that in
person
history. We
can
see that. We
spread the
know people
virus
used to die at
unknowingly.
40 years
No
old.
one is intending to spread the virus. We know if you're sick, you
That's
won't
why they
get
got
home.
married at 12 and owned their own
To all
farms,
of the
because by the
youth
time
that
they're
are
40,
out
they would
there
be
that would
dead. So they
like to
started
join
life
together and
early.
just
That
have
was
that
one of
dinner
the
party for
reasons.
20, don't do
But,
it. Continue to follow
so,
the presidential guidelines. We really
you
appreciate the
know,
work of the
and there's
American
some
people.
vaccines that
We
have,
see as a
you know,
country, we're
wiped out
improving. We
some
see
of
as
the
metro
really
areas, we're
bad,
improving.
deadly
We see as
viruses.
communities, as
Now,
counties,
we
as
have,
states, we're improving. But
unfortunately,
that
because you have too
also
many
still
people out there now that are
requires everyone to
greedy
continue to
and too
social
many people's
distance.
hands getting
And in the
wiped,
end, we
you
do
know, or
have
pockets getting
states
fed
that have very few
by
cases
people that
and
want
very
stuff
few new
to
cases. And so
pass the
these are the
FDA
words the
before it
president is
should,
referring to
knowing it has
that
side
have
effects. Yes, we
been
have dirty companies
silent,
out there doing
relatively
that.
silent throughout this epidemic and pandemic that many of us have faced. And so these are the groups
Yeah,
we're
I think that
looking
there's
at
going to
very
be some big
specifically. And
earthquakes
each
following
of
that.
these governors and each of these mayors will have to make decisions
Really? That's
after
not
generalized
good. Hey,
guidelines
Angel, how are
put
you?
out so that they can do what's best for their communities. They are at the front line. And I wanted to conclude by really thanking my PEPFAR
Oh, I
team
guess I
throughout
could
the
pull it
world
back up so
who have
people
been
that
working
didn't see it can see it
tirelessly throughout the world
while
to
it's
ensure
going.
that
So
Africa and
this
Asia
is
doesn't
coming
experience
off the
the
sun.
level of
See it how
infections
big it
that
is
we
from
have
down
seen,
here.
and they've
It's all the
turned
way
over
up
their
here.
capacities while
Whatever
their
this
embassies are
solar
shut
flare
down.
came off the sun is
Hired
very
throughout the world,
big.
our
They're
ambassadors
usually
are
like
still
this
on the
big, you
front
know,
line
where
with
that
our
brightness
local
is,
staff,
about that
working with
size. But
ministries
this
of
is all the way
health
down
and
here, all
frontline
the way up
workers
here,
around the
and then it's
globe.
over here
And
as
I
well.
assure you that they are
So,
continuing to invest in the health structures
daughter
throughout
and I were
Detroit
talking
and the
about
frontline
the
care to
effects that it
ensure
could
that
have
all of the work that we have done
on the
against TB, HIV, and malaria
earthquakes
continues,
and
but that we use our
magnetosphere
capacity,
and
our
all kinds of other
laboratories, our
things.
clinics, our hospitals that have been built by the American people and the generosity of the American people to
Hi,
really
Corey.
combat this
I'm not
COVID-19
sure.
around
Let's
the
go
globe.
back and
Thank
look at
you.
it and see if we can get a feel for the time. Because some things take 3 days to hit the earth.
Thank you, Mr.
See,
President.
I'm not really
To be
sure.
here with you today, and I want you to know it's an honor to represent you in leading the Department of Agriculture and represent the constituency.
This thing
who are
speeds by
crucial
so
in,
fast because it's
maintaining
not
our nation's
showing
food
the whole
security,
24 hours like it
enabling
should
us to
either.
keep food on the table of our American families, not only
So I
just
don't know
food,
what
but
they cut
overseeing
out of
safe
this
food as
speed,
well.
but that's the
I
part I
want to start
caught.
my remarks today by echoing what my colleagues at the CDC
So
have
not
been
just a
saying
bright
regarding
spot, but I don't know
the
if y'all
health
can
and
see all
safety of our
that,
essential employees
all that
across
energy,
the
all the way,
United States. CDC's
a lot of
provided
energy.
strategies there that aimed at helping our most critical workers, both in healthcare and in food processing, to quickly and safely to return to work after potential
So I
exposure
guess
to
at one,
COVID-19,
between
provided those workers
one,
are symptom-free. And this guidance will help these critical industries in the
I
food
guess that would be
sector
1 a.m.
to protect the health and safety
This is,
of essential workers while keeping
whatchamacallit
critical
time.
functions working throughout the COVID-19 response. As we know, any employee who develops symptoms while on the job,
which wouldn't be 1 a.m.
guidance is in line with
American
CDC's
time.
recommendations for
But
healthcare workers caring for those sick with COVID-19. So we appreciate the dedication and commitment of all the brave men and working.
They had fires in the news.
Keep their communities fed.
Isn't telling the truth about how bad it is. I bet.
Keep those individuals as safe
yes,
as
we are definitely
during these challenging times. In that vein, there's been a
Oh,
lot.
I'm sorry, Angel.
It's COVID-19.
There's a lot of sick dogs right now. I know that.
Facilities, as you know, for Americans who may be worried about access to good food because of this, I want to assure you the American food supply is strong, resilient.
Yeah, they say the American food supply is strong, resilient, and safe, but we just had 400 people in was it Idaho? One of them states that tested positive with the coronavirus. 400 of the employees. One of the states that didn't implement stay-at-home or social distancing rules. So now they had to shut down that meat plant. And then we have one here, Smithfield here, locally had to shut down because too many people were sick.
Our local health authorities and our state health authorities to do everything they can to balance the demand of keeping our facilities operational.
Okay, and people keep commenting on the president and some of his things, why the presidential seal is on the podium, and then other times it isn't. Well, he's in two different locations, two different podiums when he's doing these briefings.
Dedicated workers include obviously farmers and producers,
so
but also processors, truckers.
Why the seal isn't on all of them, I don't know. I'm sure the Rose Garden is, considered something special versus, and so is the Oval Office if he gives something from there versus that media room they were in. I don't know.
During this national emergency, along with our healthcare workers.
Oh, okay. God bless you, daughter.
One more thing.
Awesome soldier in God's army. Take care.
Plenty of food for all.
I'll be back later.
I want to be clear. The bare store shelves.
Your hub still works.
In some cities in the country are a demand issue, not a supply issue. The way food is prepared and packaged to be sold in a restaurant or at school is significantly different.
Yeah, Passover.
Package for you to buy in the grocery store. Our supply chain is sophisticated.
He has risen.
And it's taken us a few days to relocate.
But yeah, the stuff going on with the sun and the comets and meteors and all the new discoveries
in this country to feed the American
and
people.
The stuff that they've been gearing us up for to tell us about aliens.
And you have a crash
when the government, when our local base here, our jet. Our Navy jet base reported what they've been seeing, and then the Nimitz whole battle group reporting what they've been seeing. God bless you, Chris Kringle.
And we can and we will get through this with a whole of American approach, Mr. President, and a critical partnership.
Oh man, the stupid Nightbot. Why does he do that?
And we will meet any challenge.
Man, that Nightbot is. I'm gonna have to disable that Nightbot some kind of way because.
Before the Vice President comes up, I just wanted.
I don't know how to take that caps thing off.
China has paid.
I wonder if it would boot me if I typed in caps because I type in caps all the time. That's crazy. I do not have it set to do that
billions of dollars being held
because caps don't bother me.
To distribute much of that money to the farmers. Our farmers.
Yeah, it didn't put me in timeout.
They're benefiting by the amount that they were targeted. And,
how do I undo view message? See, he said, God bless.
Nobody can take advantage of our farmers. So
I'm sorry. I've got to figure out. Sorry about that, Chris. I got to figure out how to control that Nightbot. No, I have it set on there, but I've got to figure out. I got to talk to Gary from 24/7 AZ Skies, live AZ Skies, and ask him how he programmed his, because I got to take that command off.
So thank you very much, Sonny. Great job.
Because it's just meant for, if there's, people in here saying racial things or whatever is designed for that.
Task Force met today. It's reported to us that we've conducted and completed.
Because I definitely don't care. You know, I type in caps all the time.
Tests across the nation.
Oh, see, Angel typed in caps.
19,000 Americans have tested positive. But as you reflected yesterday when we welcomed coronavirus survivors here to the White House from across the country. So
Nightbot comes in handy. I mean, he can do some cool things, like you can play games with them. And
sadly,
Gary has his setup. It tells jokes, and I mean, it's funny. His is funny, but I haven't taken the time to try to program mine. I was trying to give people hugs one night, and it was hugging me instead. So, but it will do the weather.
Despite the heartbreaking losses,
like if you wanted to know the weather,
because of the efforts of people all across this country to put into practice the president's coronavirus guidelines. Because
anyway, so I gotta take time and figure that thing out.
Authorities, as Dr. Brooks just reflected,
I keep saying that.
Great signs of.
I always forget it's on till it does something stupid like that.
President Trump has directed our team to develop new guidelines that will be presented tomorrow to our nation's governors and released to the American people thereafter. The American people will be encouraged to know that as we stand here today, 24% of the counties.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they closed all the schools. We had bases closed here because they had so many people infected at the bases.
In America have less than 25.
They closed DMV. You don't have to pay your tags. You don't have to, you know.
People of those communities. But as
this is bigger than just this virus. And this virus is deadlier than. Okay, let me show it to you, Chris. I'm not sure, but there's a big solar flare coming off both sides of the sun. But right here, it's all the way. I don't know if you can see it, but it's from there to there. That's how big this flare is. Not just, usually it's one little area like right here. But this thing is all the way from there to there on this side, and then over here is from here to here.
We wanted to announce today that the FDA
it's the biggest flare I've ever seen.
The development and access to
so that's more than. So this is the size of the sun right here, the white dot, the white circle.
From the coronavirus
this is to block the brightness from it so that it could be seen by the cameras. So this, being this big coming off of here, is more than half of the size of the sun.
Plasma treatments and over 1,000 institutions.
And then we've also got it happening on this side too. Not as big as this side, but usually when I see them come off and we have a problem here on Earth, it's coming from this side.
2 and preferably 4 weeks.
That's all I know.
Your local
from what I've been observing the last
and arrange to donate.
2 years.
One more way that the American people can do their part and step forward. And thousands have already done so, and we know that tens of thousands will join them. On the subject of supplies, Mr. President, I'll be very brief because you detailed a great amount.
I don't know.
The air bridge has completed the 44 flights, 56 more are scheduled. But on the subject,
it could be from Atlas,
which are so important for the protection
Angel.
Of infrastructure.
It could be from something else out there. I've got to. I haven't looked at all the other stuff because when I saw this, I wanted to catch it before it went away because that's going to time out on the screen here soon. So I wanted to catch it.
80 million masks, and FEMA is actually working as we speak.
But I haven't even gone to the other sites and did the research on what else is incoming.
There'll be 6.5 million masks that go out.
Wages world, yeah.
20 million.
The world will have, yeah.
April the 20th, and then we'll be adding 6.5 million each and every week. At the President's direction, we're going to ensure that all of those that
Wormwood,
all of those first responders have access to masks, and we're increasing those every day. Finally, I know I speak for the
President.
Yeah,
there's some other things out there too, though, Angel, besides Atlas.
And how proud we are.
And Suzanne, I've been seeing some. I see clouds shaped like
across the nation,
evil demons. I see a lot of crazy stuff in the sky. Man, the sun is giving off a crazy.
Military medical professionals have been deployed to 13 hospitals across.
So we didn't have the sun most of the day here. We were covered in cloud cover all day, and it rained, poured down rain.
And as the president reflected,
but now the sun is
because we
peeking out.
Happily did not have the demand on the Javits Center
with a strange tint to it.
City.
But
At the
anyway,
President's direction, we have deployed doctors and nurses from those two facilities to hospitals. In fact,
we need Jesus to shorten the days, as he said he would do.
And he expressed his great admiration and appreciation for the relief that these medical military.
Oh, they haven't been doing much of that.
Dedicated people in our hospitals
because the planes haven't been flying.
Just yesterday.
I mean, we have them here because we have the jet base here, and they fly over.
With that,
but regular airlines.
It's remarkable to think of all that we've accomplished over the last month.
I mean, there's some countries that their smog is down so much right now they can see. Hey, Julia, how are you?
Because of what the American people have done over the last 30 days, we are slowing the spread.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't
ensuring that every American family have access to the health care that we want.
I wasn't doing shows for
with the greatest
I guess about a week.
In the world.
I had my own.
We're saving lives, and we're healing our land. And so we want to thank the American people
I was in my own
done. Tomorrow we'll be presenting a new
world about how things are working out, but
and reopen America.
I've been doing my research every day and staying up on everything. Man, I gotta say, I liked the president the other day though, when he showed
we need them anyway.
He showed the news media their own clips of how because they were accusing him of not implementing orders soon enough to save lives and keep the virus from spreading. And so he played back their clips of when he shut down flights from China and export and import from China, when these same people telling him he didn't move fast enough were on these news broadcasters were saying he moved too fast. He moved too fast. So I don't know if y'all caught that or not, but that was awesome. That's a first in history where the president played back their own media clips to show them how they said one thing and now they're accusing them of the exact opposite. So that was kind of comical, sad that this is where our country is with fake news and people's opinions swaying with whoever's paying them the most, or but it was comical, man. So I'm not going to name any news stations, but those news stations that he aired, and all he did was show clips of them saying what they said about him the month before. And he's like, now you're telling me I moved too slow. Last month, you were all over the place telling everybody how I moved too fast and I blah, blah, blah. So it was funny. But, so I was watching it on one of those channels and they cut it off, cut the president off in the middle of the speech. I was like, really? Now that's childish. Yeah, y'all said it. Y'all did it. Now you're going to cut them off for the people that wanted to watch them? Suppose that was the only channel they get in their area. Now they don't know what the briefing was about because these children cut the show off because they didn't like it.
The job of governors doing will let them know about it. And as you know, we have very strong action we can take, including a close down.
Anyway, so I was like, yeah, that was a good one. That would have been, if I was president, that'd be something I'd do.
Vice President has had a lot of conversations
that was good.
over the last 2 weeks with either 50 or almost 50 governors.
Give us the truth. This is what everybody should just give us the truth. Let us draw our own conclusions. If they want, if they want some people to weigh in on their opinions or whatever, that's fine too. But make it fair. Give it from both sides. Let both sides. It's like when we talk about these conspiracy theories that are probable and are possible. So we can talk about them, and I usually have to take the opposite side just so that we have an actual conversation about it, and it's not all one-sided presentation. So somebody will say, well, this is what this is happening, and I'll say, well, that's possible, but maybe that's not it. Maybe it's this and this, and that's how I think our news should do, instead of making us, whatever side they're on, that's what they present. And no matter what it is, they cut out so much of the conversation and try to make it sound like this was said or that was said. I can't stand when they do that. Somebody sent me a clip the other day where somebody had edited everything the president said, and I had watched the conference live. So that one really irritated me. So I've been trying to watch all of them live because I am tired of people editing it to fit their agenda of what they're trying to get across.
Yeah, please.
But that was good. I was like, good for you. He showed them their clips, and he says, and I've got questions for you. When this is done playing, I've got questions for y'all. Boy, they were heated.
Our relationship with Canada is very good. We'll talk about that. It will be one of
Oh, absolutely, Julia.
Canada's doing well. We're doing well. We'll see. But at some point, we'll be doing that. In the meantime, nations.
Yeah, I wish I had a big bad dog.
We have a lot of nations that are heavily infected. Some are getting better. Some are still on the way up, unfortunately. We're keeping very strong borders with those nations. But with Canada, we are talking about different things. Yeah, please.
President, you said the evidence.
Yeah, I haven't checked on the numbers today to see how Canada was doing. When I checked this morning, a whole bunch of places hadn't reported in yet.
The numbers, we're looking at our graphs, we're looking at our models. We're getting.
I'll pull this stuff up later. The closed cases. This is what y'all need to be looking at, in my opinion. What we need to be watching. Okay, not the number. We know that only so many millions of people around the world have even been tested. Okay, that's not the question. The question is, out of the closed cases, the cases that have had an outcome, not the ones that are still active, because you have 50-some thousand in critical condition. So those 50-some thousand could go, to the bad side. Or some of them, can recover, but probably not a lot. Anyway, the closed cases, the cases that have had an outcome that are not still actively infected, it is a 21% death rate in the United States thus far. It's a 40% death rate in Spain and Italy and some of these other countries. So the closed cases, the ones that have either recovered or they've died.
To get something done on coronavirus.
And this is SARS too. I notice they don't keep bringing that up, but this is SARS too. It's not just COVID-19. It's the second mutation of SARS.
We wouldn't have, as an example, with the paycheck plan, and that's going so well. It's so
anyway,
smooth, so beautiful.
I see why they're not stressing on those numbers, but they're
giving it to their employees.
It is that's what I'm watching, the recovery, or the end result. The end result in most countries is 40% of the people that had an end result are dead. 60% recovered, 40 are dead, 40% are dead. Here right now, with the numbers they're giving us, is 21% are dead and 79% recovered. But there's still 5% of the ones still infected are in critical condition.
It was 2 years ago. We have people that have been waiting for 3 years, and we can't get them approved by the Democrats in the Senate because they're taking so long.
Well, yeah, any disease can be made a bioweapon.
I'm totally in favor of what
even
with judges, because that's
the new athlete's foot fungus that is a skin flesh eating disease. It's a mutation from the athlete's foot fungus that can kill people within hours.
And appellate judges and 2 Supreme Court
judges. It reminds me of the 2 that were in the water. We had the water from the north and the water from the south. 2 different skin-eating or flesh-eating diseases in our waters from the north on the East Coast.
And what they're doing,
our waters from the north and our waters from the south. 2 different types of flesh-eating diseases in our water. And then we had all the dogs going swimming that were dying.
And what they do is there's only so many hours.
Oh, yeah, because you literally drown to death.
I would have been in favor of that. They didn't choose to do it. But I have
right. Necroticizing fasciitis. How is it pronounced? Yes, that.
A long time ago.
But there's 2 different types. And so we had the one in the north that was coming down to the Chesapeake Bay. And then we had the one in the south coming up from Florida up to the Chesapeake Bay.
That's really good.
I have asthma.
And that loves our country. And I want to get these.
I have granulomas on my lungs from when I was a brick mason. I have severe hypertension.
Waiting for the man that we're talking about coming in.
And I have diabetes, so I have lots of risks for this type of virus.
Important positions as Secretary of Agriculture is the position. It's distribution.
But
now we're talking about shelves.
I feel like, you know, we're in those times, and the Lord's gonna, you know, we're not gonna go till the Lord's ready to take us.
The person is exceptional.
And
that person left a very
if we all have a job to do, we're gonna be here to do that job.
He'll say, do you think
that's to lead people to Christ.
And to me for a long time. It's because of the Democrats, and what we're doing is, and I think anybody here would do.
Well,
judges are a priority.
I also have RHO negative blood, so you would think they wouldn't want to target someone like me because I'm a universal donor for everything.
So much time in approving everything. They're trying to put us through the mill. That's when you talk about partisanship, and it's never ever happened before.
But anyway,
every administration in the history of this country, nobody has ever had hundreds of people.
It's a shame that he has to spend half of the time defending himself and his actions. You know, people need to stop now.
We're going to go this route, and we'll probably be challenged in court, and we'll see who wins. But when the court hears that we aren't getting people approved, as Sonny would say, for 2.5 years for an important position that we need because of this.
Yes, I should have some resistance. That's what I'm hoping, Chris.
We really need these people.
Because I don't have RHO negative blood doesn't have any antigens on it at all. So if you looked at blood cells, they have these little spikes on them, these little different shaped things. Like A has, and I did it in a drawing like a year ago to explain to people how different blood types have different things on their cells. Well, O negative has nothing. It's the only blood type with no antigens at all. So that supposed to, you know, can keep us from catching certain things, but then makes us more susceptible to, you know, some things that other people aren't or something. But, you know, and it may be RHO negative blood that they find is able to fight this virus and build an antibody for it. Don't know. I know one time I had surgery. I had abdominal surgery. And when they were checking my blood, they're like, you got a lot of non-specific antibodies that we can't figure out. And I just laughed because I'm like, yeah, that's because it's RHO negative blood. So whatever was out there, my body, you know, was exposed to it, but my body's like, nope. So it's a non-specific antibody because it didn't get a chance to do what it was supposed to do. But anyway,
we want them to have them. We're going to be helping them with ventilators after this is over, so that they can't say, "Oh,
that's a whole nother topic."
We want them to have. They've had a lot of.
He shouldn't have to keep repeating the same stuff every day. These people, let them get on with the.
So we're going to be helping them
with the stuff that's going on. Has anybody gotten their stimulus check?
As I said, I'm very proud to do it. We're going to be helping.
Because I was told a bunch of people around here got theirs, and I got nothing. So
other nations, and we're going to be helping them strongly. I think Russia is going to need ventilators. They're having a hard time in Moscow. We're going to help them. We're going to help other countries.
I owe years worth of taxes too because I was penalized by Obamacare for not having insurance. So they, you know, tack that onto my taxes each year, which I couldn't afford to pay.
It's very cold out here.
But anyway. Yeah, they're not paying out trillions and losing trillions. They're not just paying out; they're losing trillions coming in.
Do you think you're getting honest numbers from some of these countries? Do you really believe those numbers in this vast country called China, and that they have the?
Oh, I agree with that. China is not reporting.
Does anybody really believe that? Here's the story: we report everything. We're reporting the cases, and our reporting is good. We're reporting every death. In fact, I see this morning where New York added 3,000 deaths. because they died, and they're now saying rather than it was a heart attack, they're saying it was a heart attack caused by this. So they're adding.
Right. See, it's just like me. Now, if I got coronavirus right now and died, should it be labeled as coronavirus?
And what they are doing is
yes, because people live with heart disease and asthma and diabetes and hypertension and granulomous tissue on their lungs. They live, you know, if they take their medication and they try to eat right and exercise and do all the things that they can to avoid situations, then they can, you know, they can live to be 70, 80, some, you know, whatever. So at 57, if I get coronavirus and die from complications of that, should it be listed as coronavirus as the cause of death? Yes, because had I not got coronavirus, it wouldn't have put me in that situation I was in, you know, for my underlying illnesses to have been a problem to where I couldn't battle it, like the cold or anything else that I've been battling. I've had these issues for years, and I've been able to battle whatever comes about. So that's what they did with some of them. They had to go back and test them and say, well, yes, they were positive for the coronavirus. And so the coronavirus, had they not gotten it, their heart condition wouldn't have killed them today. It may 20 years from now, but not today. So
we can use the word sources, but we are doing a very thorough examination.
Well, you know, Chris, there is going to be evil in everywhere we look. There's going to be somebody stupid doing something for greed. We know that, yes. Yes, I mean, I believe that they're trying to get an accurate reading, but not everybody. That's, you know what I'm saying. So they're going. They have so much. I mean, I get the FBI warnings every day now about all the scams that are out. The scams that are out are ridiculous already. For get your stimulus check early. Your hub says you got that check early today.
But it's been a tool of China. It's been, as I say, totally China-centric. You take a look at everything that's happened.
Well,
they've been wrong.
I didn't.
At the beginning. What do I know?
But, you know,
I said, World Health Organization, this and that, wonderful. And then you start to see all the mistakes. They didn't want us to close our borders to China, to Wuhan, specifically.
See, he's still got to go back to the same stuff he talked about yesterday and the day before, because there's always someone asking him the same questions or accusing him of the same stuff. Let's move on. Let's stop talking about that.
Because she thought it would be great. She wanted to show that this thing doesn't exist. These are people. I'll tell you, we have some politicians on the other side that don't know what they're doing. If you look at timelines, you got to look at some timelines.
Yes, Suzanne, I have direct deposit because that's how my job that I had till I got laid off paid me.
And they've been so in favor.
And I filed my taxes for this year.
When it joined the World Trade Organization. Because of what's happening.
Now, maybe because I owe the state of Virginia money too,
and because they're
and I owe federal taxes from
we're developing too. But
2017, 18,
we've been treated so badly by these organizations. 19. And believe me, I'm looking at that one too. We're winning a lot of lawsuits right now that we never won before.
So I don't know.
We're winning a lot of.
I don't owe for 2016 because I didn't earn enough.
But with the World
That's when I got laid off from my job that I had for 22 years.
There is a disgrace.
And I didn't earn enough that year at all.
To $500 million a year.
But I still owed Obamacare. I still got penalized on my taxes for not having the health insurance that I couldn't afford.
I could do that too if I wanted to devote full time to it or have some very capable.
I earned $4,000 for the entire year that year when I got laid off. And
I could do
they still wanted
I could do very well with that.
That Obamacare.
There's something going on.
Money.
There's something going on that's very bad. Now, the $500 million that we said, we'll determine. We're going to make a determination over a little period of time.
So,
if they're going to either have to make massive changes, I don't even know if they're going to be able to do that, or we're going to give money to people. We want to help people.
We need.
You know what we do?
We need to
with AIDS.
Bring as many people as possible.
We were talking about it the other day, Doctor.
To the love of Christ
people.
It's urgent. It always has been urgent, and I wish I had realized that my entire life, and I didn't. But we can see what's unfolding. We can see it. We can feel it.
But we're spending billions of dollars to help people live
and
all over the world. But we're spending
we know that more is coming besides this coronavirus, and we know that this is worse than they're reporting even. They didn't shut down everything and start giving out money and telling people to stay home. Stay home, we'll pay you. And don't worry about paying taxes and passing laws so people can't evict them. And trust me, Dominion power will cut you off if you're on a respirator if you don't pay your bill. So Virginia Power, or Dominion Power is called now. It used to be called VEPCO, Virginia Electrical Power Company. But now it's called Dominion Power. But anyway, when they said we're not going to cut anybody off due to non-payment, that was like a month and a half ago. I'm like, uh-oh.
Of all time by China. The belief now, you heard the chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
And we got spies in China. We got spies all over the world, just like they have spies here in our country. So somebody's getting the
Wuhan lab.
They're getting information on how many people are actually being sick there. And of course, they have to be careful in sharing it.
It's believed that the virus.
But I'm sure the president is privy to it.
Worked at the lab, went into the population in Wuhan, and the virus quickly spread from there.
Well, that could have been.
According to sources, moved quickly to shut down travel domestically from Wuhan to the rest of
China. Or it could have been, I'm sorry, viruses mutate. We've always heard the saying, the survival of the fittest. Well, viruses are alive, and they have their mission is to survive, just like anything else we watch grow in nature and adapt to its surroundings to be able to get the food that it needs or whatever, from plants to animals to insects. Viruses are alive. And
there certainly has been a real change in tone from
early February with the president. Like I said, if we get over this one, I'm telling y'all, we got to be worried about MERS. MERS is more deadly than SARS.
The president is changing his
so if MERS ever comes back like that, mutates, oh my goodness.
Directly the information that you and I had discussed.
So, Scripture tells us that a third of mankind is going to die, and then after that, a quarter of mankind is going to die. Well, that's a lot of people.
That is becoming something.
That's going to be a lot of people.
To know a whole lot more about.
No, we can't force people to receive Yeshua.
Back about this line, the WHO came out publicly and said,
I'm not giving them ideas. That's the truth, Suzanne. That's out there. Believe me, if you don't think that they have thought about this already, I'm sure they have. I told you, I used to date a doctor 30 years ago. 30, oh my gosh, 30. See, my daughter's 38.
There's no question about that. And that's why I asked the president to follow up, because he speaks to President Xi
36 years ago, 37 years ago. And he told me back then
that he has
what he was worried about because of antibiotics. Because these viruses continue to mutate and become resistant and become resistant and become resistant.
Beijing visited this virology lab, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and we're concerned enough about a lack of safety.
Well, that could be, Angel, but I have to go by what Scripture tells me, and I have to continue to try to spread the word.
And spoke to President Xi about that. The president said, "I'm not going to tell you."
And I will do that till I take my last breath.
In regard to the laboratory, but it does sort of
right, Chris. That's what it stands for: Middle East Respiratory Syndrome.
In the meantime, it's all of this new information is swirling. The president still embroiled in the midst of controversy over his decision here in the Rose Garden.
Yes, Angel. Hopefully, we all are.
He was going to at least temporarily cut funding
but
the World Health Organization.
I know that sometimes it falls on deaf ears when we talk about Christ. And then I've had people come to me 20 years later and tell me something that I told them that stuck with them. And, it's called planting that seed. And so you plant that seed. And so God is going to use, we know that nobody's going to come to Yeshua unless God wants them to. So
the decision.
This is the time for all of us to be united.
It may be us, when we stand in front of him on that day, he might show us someone that we had the opportunity to talk about God to and didn't.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying,
and, you know, hopefully someone else, you know, he might assign someone else to cross that person's path and then plant that seed. Oh, I don't think we do either, Angel. Absolutely, I don't think so, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, you know, none of us want to leave our grandchildren and, you know, what we know here because we know it. And everything else is on our faith of what's going to, you know, transpire when this is done. So, you know, people are comfortable with what they know. So given the choice, is natural in human nature to say, well, I'll stick with what I know. So let's just stay here on the earth. And, you know, that's why a lot of people stick at the same job forever, even though it's not good and it doesn't pay well, because it's familiar. They're comfortable because it's familiar, and everything else that's unfamiliar is scary for a lot of people.
Letters that were derided as a campaign commercial. Today, President Trump was gathering
we know.
on ideas to
well, that's true, very true, Julia.
Members of his Great American Economic Revival groups in different sectors of the economy. In the sports category, Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban. I think the biggest mistake we can
No, I don't watch R. Wayne.
The Centers for Disease Control and FEMA are also drafting proposals for reopening.
Last time I went there a couple of years ago, he was anti-God, so I never went back to his channel.
New cases and outbreaks, and adding that leaders at all levels will need to prepare communities for occasionally returning to stricter mitigation measures for brief periods.
I did see an interesting commercial today. There was a meteorite. Oh, so this was a lawn commercial, because we all remember that one where the meteors come in that little tiny car. They're showing how much stuff the people can pack in the car before the meteorite hits the earth. All right, so we were talking about that one a couple of years ago. Well, today they had a commercial on about lawn care, and so this person's lawn was so pretty that this big meteor falls from the sky and burning up the ground, and all they're looking at is how pretty that lawn is. You know, and it's like, so your lawn's so pretty that, you know, nothing else, they don't notice anything but your pretty lawn. But it was a meteor falling. That was funny.
That would be the first time for any president in history. If that happened, would likely be challenged.
Yes, it is energy. Everything is energy.
News in tough times, the brighter side.
Yes, our God is awesome.
Brought to you by Pacific Life. More than 150 years of financial strength and stability. That's the power of Pacific.
Well, I can tell you that based on what happened when the president played those clips of the news reporters saying the exact opposite things about him when they were attacking him last month, saying he was too quick he shouldn't have closed the country down, and he was acting too quick and blah blah blah. And then yesterday they were saying he moved too slow, and so he played those clips. And when those news channels cut him off, I will never watch them again. They literally cut him off live news briefing for the nation. And like I said, it didn't bother me because I had other channels to go to. But it took me a minute. I still missed, you know, a couple minutes of the conversation because I had to go find the channel that still was airing him, because those all cut him off. And if that is the most childish thing, and if that doesn't prove to you they only have their own agenda out when they're reporting news, man.
Thanks to the farmers, line workers, and truckers.
And one of them used to be one of my favorite news channels.
Because right now, breakfast as usual is more essential than ever. To everyone around the world, it's so hard to bring breakfast to the table.
Anyway, we have. Let's look at this and see if anything's changed.
You might think you were born with a slow metabolism.
Nope, you still see that big flare going on all the way over here, covering all that area, and here. But this is huge. I've never seen one cover that much area. Usually it's a stream about this size where the darkness is, or even this size where the lightness is. But this thing is that big. So let's see what this is doing. Hopefully this doesn't cause buffering while I'm sharing the screen.
Get healthy without starvation diet. Golo allows you to step off the yo-yo diet and merry-go-round and obtain lasting results just like
So I don't know, you know, if this one's going to take 3 days to hit the earth. And then there's others, you know, that they said there's some things that come from the sun that can get to us in 10 minutes. So I wonder how it's actually 93 million light years away when something can come from the sun to the earth in 10 minutes.
To help you stay healthy. We're here for you now. Save 50% on
and you can see it on here too, but they cut a lot of this out as well.
Plus, get a week of probiotic.
Now this is further away. That's why the white dot is smaller. So that's the size of the sun. So there's the size of the sun, and here's the size of the flare, all the way out to here, which is half of the size of the sun. Plus up here.
Irritated skin with Derma moisturizing anti-itch lotion without the unwanted side effects of steroids.
There's a lot of footage missing from this too. I think last time I looked it was like 7-8 hours missing. So it goes to 17. Well, it goes from 13 to 17, so that's 4 hours missing. And then it goes
Stay home. 2 words every
to 1.
these days.
So that's another 4 hours missing. So yes, 8 hours. No.
I started Bright Star Care so people could get safe, personalized care right in their own home.
It's 15 hours missing.
The world needs nurses.
7 hours and 8 hours missing from this, or 4 hours, excuse me. 12 hours missing. 8 hours and 4 hours missing from that.
It's how much it can help to stay home.
Finally, tonight, a lot of signs of support. The U.S. Air Force air demonstrations.
It could be.
Showed its appreciation for frontline COVID-19 responders.
We know.
Over Las Vegas.
We know there's.
Meantime, a group of firefighters in Wisconsin paid special tribute to healthcare.
Man. Anyway, there's more going on that's being shared with us. We know that.
Hearts for healthcare.
There's
also encouraging the public to show love by drawing.
And probably more than this virus. Like I said, there's things coming at us. Maybe the fallen angels are getting ready to return. You know what some people want to call aliens, which technically they're aliens because they're not part of the earth. So they are aliens. They're evil aliens, the fallen angels. So, you know, we know that they're going to be here for that spiritual battle. So maybe they see them coming in. I just know that there's a lot of news broadcasters now throwing God into the mix, which they didn't do before. I find that really interesting.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum, and this is The Story. So moments ago, President Trump telling Americans that it seems that we are past the peak of COVID-19. The president says that means that we're in a, quote, strong position.
And I don't think we're past the peak because people are being reinfected. And I think the second peak is bigger than the first peak.
We're told will be announced tomorrow. So we will look forward to that.
They will attempt to put people back to work, and then they're going to have to call it back again. But if they don't, because, you know, you got people wanting to protest and do a bunch of things because... Anyway, so they're going to try to let people go back to work and watch it's going to peak even bigger.
And said that it was essentially a pandemic that was waiting to happen 2 years ago. So did that trigger a response? We're going to talk about that and other things.
I just think that all countries should have been more, right, Chris?
That add up to the, quote, costliest government cover-up of all time by China. Moments ago, the president again called out the World Health Organization, which he has called, quote, China-centric. Watch this.
Mr. President, multiple sources.
7 minutes for a coronal mass ejection. That's quick, isn't it? for it to be 93 million light years away. Anyway, we already know that they don't know size and distance. All the new stuff that they've been coming out with the last 2 months, which I've been covering a lot of it. Each one is where they don't know. They thought one thing, and now they're seeing that their models don't even work for what they're seeing now. And so, you know, God's showing everybody that, hey, you're not as smart as you think you are. You can't explain me away. And I can bring every man to his knees before I get there. He can, you know, think about the humbling of this. The whole world is shut down. 210 countries and territories shut down.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. Secretary Pompeo, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
I know, Angel. It's
your thoughts, I guess, first of all,
yeah,
your reaction to that story.
We talked about this last year, though, that one day we were going to wake up and we would be saying we can't believe what's going on. And here we are.
That John had to ask the question. The mere fact that we don't,
and we ain't seen nothing yet.
Hasn't shared the answers, I think, is
Suzanne says I've noticed this too.
President said that there are multiple sources. What we do know is we know that this virus originated in Wuhan, China.
The Samaritan's Purse, yeah.
Institute of Virology, just a handful of miles away from where the wet market was. There's still lots to learn. You should know that the United States government is working diligently to figure this out. But what we really need, Martha, we really need the Chinese.
Well, you know, and there was people reading into why I've seen about 8 channels that has stuff on about why the president wasn't standing behind the podium with the presidential seal, that they've stripped him of his rights and all that. Well, there's different podiums for different areas. And I guess the Rose Garden has some significance, just like the Oval Office does in other places. And whether he's, you know, doing a national address to the nation or entertaining the comical, sarcastic media, he was in a different room doing those.
Imagine, giving everything that so many countries have been through, how different it might have been if China had immediately been clear about what they knew about.
We'll talk about that tonight, about FEMA being in charge and all of that. That's a good topic. We'll bring that up later on.
So how does this not?
I'm sorry, I didn't even open up the phone line. I forgot about that because I didn't plan on being on long now. I was just I wanted to cover what was going on with the sun before it disappeared from the stream, you know, before the footage either got cut or whatever. I got to answer the phone. Hold on.
It didn't just put Americans at risk, it put people all across the world at risk.
Hey, beautiful.
It wasn't until the end of January when we brought the first Americans home.
Nope.
Roughly 800 people that we got back from Wuhan itself.
But remember, I owe taxes too. And
the Chinese
I know they said that ain't going to have anything to do with it, but I think it will.
And why it is the case that information wasn't made more broadly available.
Right.
We could have done things differently. The world would have responded quickly. Frankly, the International Health Organizations didn't do us any favors either in making sure this information was broadcast in a way that it needed.
Right. All right. Hold on one second, honey. Let me close out my show. Yeah. Hey, y'all. So I'll be back in a couple of hours. We'll have a live call-in show. I'm going to close out for now so I can talk to my niece. May God bless everyone. I'll see y'all in a couple of hours, God willing. We'll have a call-in show then. All right, hold on. Let me close out. I was covering what was going on.